Hi, this is Frozen Creek, the producer of the Dogfight. This episode was recorded Monday evening, so we missed a little bit of news. It seems that the Dallas Fuel have acquired Rascal from the Spitfire, and the LA Gladiators have acquired Fissure from the Spitfire. So we do not discuss this in the show because this happened on Tuesday, but we will discuss it on our episode next week before Stage 2. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dogfight, a podcast dedicated to the London Spitfire and the Overwatch League. Fasten your seatbelts and observe the no smoking sign, because today we'll be discussing the handful of matches that the Spitfire handled over the weekend, as well as what our thoughts on Stage 1 were as a whole. I am Havokpus. As always, I am joined by Jordan and Wolf of Villany. Hello, friends.
Hey, hey,
Hey, what's
hey.
up?
I guess now we can say we're dedicated to the London Spitfire, the Stage 1 champions. So we can brag about that for right now until Stage 2. So like
Until stage 2, so
we
that
have like a
means
week. Let's have a week to savor that
it's,
beautiful win.
it's like,
Yes.
well, NYXL also joke quite hard, which
Yep, I mean we'll get more into the match, but let's just savor in the fact that we won.
Like
Stage
a
1.
delicious steak.
Exactly. Just
Let it
take
let it
in,
kind of marinate a
enjoy
little
it.
bit.
Exactly. Because in like a week we can't. I mean, we can still say it, but it won't matter. But
Exactly.
let's just
The money is
enjoy.
ours. That's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, yeah, no. Spitfire went through the ringer this week. How many matches do they have? I think at the end they
14.
had.
They played 14
God,
games.
that's insane for within a week. That's
no,
nuts.
no, it's only that day. 14 games, 14 maps, I would say, is probably a better choice. But they went up against NYXL first time. It went the distance, and then they 3-1 Houston, and then at the end they reverse swap
The whole thing.
NYXL.
Yeah, no, I mean, still, that's like a lot to ask from any team, especially since Houston and New York are both the next top teams. Besides that, so they went through a ringer.
Yeah.
We know that we did it.
Yeah. Before we should probably step back because
Yeah,
they did have some regular
they
season
had some
matches
their
to
regular
still
matches
get
first.
through, and they played against Houston Outlaws and NYXL. And
Hmm
I got to tell you guys, the Houston
This was the
Outlaws
regular
match.
matches.
Yeah, the regular Houston Outlaws match infuriated me to no end. I don't know what the
It
Spitfire was doing that day. If they like just wasted all of their time preparing for the NYXL match or what, but they just looked like crap. To be honest, at least to me, they're just having poor ult usage. Nuss is dying every 5 seconds. Everyone's scattered
that's kind
about.
of Nuss's thing though.
It is, and it's
Kind of
so
Nuss's thing.
frustrating in the Mercy meta.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't really speak too much because I'm also a Houston fan, so watching this game was kind of like, I, it was like I didn't comment much on this game because either or I was happy, but yeah, no, Spitfire, I have no idea what kind of happened. Everyone kind of assumed that Spitfire was just going to come in and dominate them because of everything that happened with Seoul. And I mean, Houston did well against Seoul. They didn't beat Seoul. They were close when they went off against them. I think it was like 3-2 or something like that, with Seoul winning that. But at the same time, everyone was kind of like, oh, Spitfire's just going to, we didn't think it was going to be a steamroll like it was.
Well,
But
when initially when I watched the match, I noticed why did they play closer, and that was when I realized that London might not have a very good game today. But I honestly I don't know whether it's deliberate on London choice to run majority GC Busan roster or else. But I think like um this that match was okay, but it's certainly not a barometer to judge London Spitfire.
yeah, no, not at
Yeah.
all. But yeah, no, I think I have to agree with Havoc that I do think that they were really preparing for New York because they knew that New York was going to be the bigger threat out of the two. And for them preparing for that, they might have subbed in certain people or not subbed in certain people in order to have them more prepared for that game since there's going to be within the same week 5 match, and they probably just overprepared for it, which really was not really good on their part. They learned their lesson by the time they went to the playoffs, but man, it was really close. A lot of people are kind of, I mean, I think Spitfire was always guaranteed to get in to playoffs, but we got some, a little bit of fear there.
Yeah, I was mostly upset that they had like these opportunities to get that first round bye, right?
Yeah.
So they can rest up and not have to deal with the gauntlet-esque run that they had to, and the fact that they kept just like, oh, we're just gonna completely tank against Outlaws. Oh, we're gonna play against New York, and then just fall on our face on control like we always do. It's just like, what are you doing? Stop it.
I don't think they tank as much as they were like filling out Houston quite a bit. And Houston was bringing their A game, which I thought was sort of a mistake, but that's on them, I guess.
For Houston to bring their A game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that if you look at it like that, Houston was showing pretty much like everything. I mean, Jake was
Oh,
always
okay, you
on.
mean it that way. I was like confused for a second. I'm like,
Yeah.
do you always want to bring your A game to every match? So I was like, it took me a second. I was like a little bit confused there. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, I could bring my C+ effort. I mean, we already saw what that looks like. So,
Well, it's not that I don't want to imply that London throw that particular match, but it feels like London was coming into that match like not at their full strength, because I certainly feel like when they played they were very disjointed, and at the same time when at the Houston side they were like bringing their A games in the sense that they were like pulling out all the stop. They were playing the best comp that they could possibly play. Jake was on Junkrat as per usual, and etc. 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 So, and then considering that the season have like 40 games, you can certainly take like some games here and there to experiment with the roster or experiment with strat. Like nobody's gonna shit on you for having a few games here and there. Well, except for the diehard fan, I guess. But that's beside the point.
I feel like it could have also been the case where, you know, Spitfire just didn't. I mean, it's not like they didn't care about Houston. They maybe didn't see Houston as much of a threat as Houston was pushing themselves to be. Not in the
That's what
same
I
type of
thought.
situation as not in the same situation as like I was gonna compare it for a second to Shanghai, but it's not to that much of a degree. But I feel like that's also something that they kind of underestimated Outlaws for. It was still a good match on Outlaws for sure. They definitely showed everything they could, but that was definitely I think I want to say probably the weakest match Spitfire has had in stage 1. I would probably say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I would say
I wanna give my props to Houston real quick because they did play really well. Like they stuck to their strategy pretty well of just like always
like I
staying
said, I
group.
like Houston, so they did
They
well, and a
yeah,
lot of
their
people didn't expect
strategy
that.
was really great because they were just like, okay, let's just always stay grouped. Let's just protect Jake on the Junkrat and
Yeah.
just have him just shoot at everybody,
Pretty
and they did that
much.
pretty
And then
well.
have Linkser just,
Oh, that it's weird because even though Jake is getting pushed as this all American flex DPS that is gonna like carry the team, whatever, he usually doesn't really carry the game. Like that's the problem I kind of see. It's like the moment because you remember like the moment where like Jake have to play with like clockwork. It's like Jake's Jake ability to like frag out just significantly decrease. And they also kind of play in a very particular kind of style where they don't necessarily play with the meta, but they are always trying to punish the people that are playing with the meta, which is like I don't know 3/3 of the league or something. But yeah, they play a very particular style, but and it obviously have produced like a lot of good results, but it's not necessarily a foolproof side, in a sense. And during the rematch, I think London learned a lot from the mistake. and figure out like what they should be doing, which is just not even diving versus Houston at all, which I thought was hilarious. And also doubly hilarious is that, like, if you really notice, like, all London was doing in that rematch was just like doing everything that Houston did in their games, and then just do it better. It's like, we are not going to dive you. We're just going to make you come to us, and we're just going to punish the shit out of you for engage on us, and it works out. That's just simply how it was.
Yeah, I mean, I just say it was probably their weakest match overall. And unfortunately for Spitfire. I mean, do you guys have anything else to say about Outlaws in general?
No, I was actually
Yeah,
gonna move us on to
yeah,
the
to end.
regular
Yeah,
season New York match.
yeah,
Uh,
which also was, I mean, not as rough as a game.
it was really
as,
close, and I do
Houston.
appreciate its competitiveness, at least.
Yes, it was probably. I think it was one of the more exciting matches of Stage 1, not including playoffs. I feel like playoffs is kind of it's kind of hard because I
Playoffs
don't
is
really
special
want to
though.
associate playoffs with like the best games of Stage 1, only because playoffs have like their own special pressure that's beyond what the normal Stage 1 is.
Yeah.
But it's probably the best game, or one of my favorite games of Stage 1, not including playoffs.
Yeah, I think that with the game against NYXL, I think New York definitely was just like pushing Spitfire to their very limit, I think. And I think that we saw some really great things out of London even in the maps that they lost, you could tell that they were really trying. And I think that, Birdring, I love him for how much he really tries to just carry his team, even if they're struggling. And he'll just, just like, I'm gonna kill people and you're gonna help me. just just don't die.
Burdering did his part. Does I mean, he certainly did carry a significant part of the game, and then I don't, and then the whole part of the reverse sweep, like, he was obviously like doing a whole lot of stuff, and also Prophet did his fair share of carrying as well. But Burdering certainly making a good case that he is one of the clutchiest DPS currently in the game right now.
Yeah, no. I just think the biggest problem with that game, and we've talked about this before, is the fact that London has a huge weakness when it comes to control points.
It cannot win on control. I hate to interrupt, but just
No,
let me lament for a second about how
okay, no, we're here. We're here for you.
how much London cannot play on control.
We're here for you.
I've said multiple times that just like they could start with
For your
99%
sins.
and then they'll somehow still lose. And that happened a lot. Like they would get control of the point first. It would tick all the way up to 99%, and then they just get shoved off and then they can't regain control of the point. It just seems strange that like you're doing so well up until that point and then like you just take your foot off the gas. I don't understand why they really struggle with this map type. Maybe it's like a tempo thing, and the tempo is so different from the payload maps, which they're really good at and they really excel at. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I don't know. It's just awful.
Baffling.
This entire stage has just been, hey, London, good job on every other type of map. Control 'em, they can just go into the
Exactly.
It's a nightmare. And the thing is, it's not even like London isn't even close with the control points sometimes. They're like at 99%, but they can never clutch that final percentage, or they can't clutch pass overtime. It's a nightmare. I think they finally kind of overcame it in the playoffs, but God help London. They can't do it, and I get mad at them for it, just like you do, just like we all repent for
If the league
London's
was
sins.
if the league was all controlled maps, London would probably be in like Shanghai territory.
I was gonna say, I mean,
maybe that's an exaggeration, but they would struggle a lot more.
It's kind of amusing.
I was gonna slam Fuel a bit, but you know what? I'll be polite to Fuel for this.
It's kind of amusing that if you really think about it, London have like one of the best mechanical team in the league, and their weaknesses is literally the least objective demanding of game the mode. It's like in Kingdom Hill, like you honestly just like have to frag out more than the other team, more so than some of the other in the other modes, and somehow they still can't make it, which I thought was very questionable for a team that have a lot of good coaches. So
So why do you think they're not able to frag out higher than the other team? Is it a coordination issue? Is it that in this mercy meta it makes it really difficult to frag out a lot of teams?
Mm, it's kind of weird because it feels like there is something wrong about the shot calling per se, because in COD, like sometimes they don't really have an idea how to play COD, and I'm just like, COD is the easiest map mode of all the mode. What do you mean you can't play? Sometimes they just like literally run around and do stupid shit. It's like they lose a map to San Francisco Shock, and I'm just like, why are you doing this, man? It's like literally every other map, like they play well, and then on Control, it's almost like Bird Ring and Gang just got um haunted by ghosts of some Korean
They have
fangirls
no
for like,
brain.
yeah.
They turn their brain off when Reaper does the brain check. I think Bishop needs to do a brain check for all their players because they
It's
go into
yeah.
Oasis and they have no brain.
There's no
I
brain.
don't know. Oh, I mean, I could forgive them because Oasis is one of the worst control map in my opinion, but honestly, it's not exactly rocket science to play COD. It's not like, oh, this is a mode where there's this much flank route and such and such. It's very simple. You go in, you frag, and then you try to snowball all the way into 99. Like, come on.
It's just sad. I'm
Yeah.
sad now.
Yeah.
I'm just sad now.
I mean, they with the next spot, they probably can
No,
play better.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
I just, God, I mean, I know we're gonna talk more about stage 2 next podcast, but that's gonna be the thing that I need London to work on.
I think it's the thing that everyone needs them to work on.
We all need them. We will give them our energy, and they will push
I will
through it.
believe, but I
Do you
will
have
be
any?
very cross at the same time.
Do we got anything else for the last match of the regular stage 1 season
I
for
can't think of
London?
anything outside of flaming them more for not being able to win Oasis.
I mean, we could just beat a dead horse. They kind of deserve it. But do we have anything else to say before we go into
I
the
think we should
real
move on
meat
to
of
the
the week?
I think we should move on to the stage 1 playoffs.
Yeah. See,
So
this is my
London's
bad. This
what?
was my bad. Because we talked about playoffs a bit. This is my bad. I
Oh,
didn't
that's fine.
realize that playoffs were literally the same day as like the last day of the week. I
Yeah, it's
didn't
crazy, right?
realize that. That completely blew by me. So I was like watching, it's like, oh yeah, now here we are moving on to the playoff games. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess they're just going back to back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
it's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of unfortunate, I guess, because I don't think Blizzard were expecting that. Literally every games, every regular games went the distance. It's kind of amazing. It was like NYXL versus London. It was like, oh, it's went the distance. Okay, and then the
Yeah.
next match, it also went the distance, and everyone thought, phew, now we can have a piss break with Florida versus Fusion. It also went to the fifth map. It's like, you know.
I will say, because we will talk about with stage 1 thoughts at the end. Blizzard needs to do a lot better job of making the Overwatch League transparent. At least like the structure of how it works. They released a video. I think they released a video like maybe 2 days before like the actual playoffs, explaining like what the stage playoffs kind of were. But that's not enough time. I feel like they should have been like, yeah, no, playoffs are going to be at the end of the week. So we'll talk about it more, but that's definitely something that is an issue in general. But anyways, playoffs. We went against Houston. First game. Houston beat us 3-1, and then we just beat them 3-1. We
It was
literally
actually
did
really
the most literal thing of a reverse sweep that we could have
yeah.
done.
It was actually pretty
Like,
interesting
literally.
because we lost on Dorado,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and as I was watching this, I'm like, oh, here it goes again. We're gonna
I saw
not
the
again.
chat. It was like, here we go. That's it. We're out. And then it's like, no.
But then they shut them out for the rest of the match, and I think it really displayed how well this team is at defense. Like they're like an iron wall, and you can like barely break through them if you allow them to really set in and really set up a really tight defense. And I think that this is something that we've seen a lot through the season, but I think in the stage 1 playoffs, I think this is where it really shined, and it really became sort of their staple thing, I believe.
Yeah, no. It was a great game. Um, of course, I was a little sad for Houston, because I do like them. But
I'm not sad, especially when they lost to the Rip Tire that they at the end.
okay, I wasn't gonna mention them.
Even Taimu was like, "You live by the tire, you die by the tire."
You live and die by that tire, man. Yeah, no, that was actually really funny. But it was a good game. It was nice to see London kind of be like, no, just firmly say no to anything that they would have done. It was kind of nice to see that reverse sweep, literally. But yeah, no, it was.
Yeah, I do also think that Fairbat is fair play, considering that Jake was thinking he was such hot stuff and like teabagging the players when he got a kill. So
Okay, I will never defend Jake's actions. That's one
no
thing.
one can
Like,
defend Jake's actions.
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Go to the Outlaw Discord at some point.
I still have no idea how Outlaw managed to amass such massive fan base in this short amount of time. Honestly, because at this point they are almost like the Cowboys of the Overwatch, despite being in fucking Houston instead of Dallas, because that's the only way I can think about it.
See, I don't know if I would consider them the Cowboys, also because Cowboys are just pure slime. Uh,
But they're
Cowboys
America's
are
team.
Yeah, they are so.
I would argue
Yeah.
that any day of the week, but God, I wouldn't think they're. I don't know if I compare them to Cowboys. I feel like Cowboys is not the right team, but they are like. I mean, to Outlaw's credit, a lot of their team is based off of the Team USA like makeup from the World Cup. So that's kind of a bit helping them with the whole look at USA type of team.
I don't know. And then some other people were like, "Oh, have you looked at them? They all very handsome." And I'm just like, I'm just shaking my head in
Jake is super
dismay.
handsome though.
They are.
He has the
They
face
are
of an angel.
You no, you said that. You said that, and I
coming
can
from
literally
someone
ask.
coming
You
from
said that, and I
someone
can.
from a lesbian. Yeah, they are kind of attractive.
No, like
Fine.
you. Even if you said that, I can literally ask a lesbian woman who literally just told me at one point. I was like, "Here's the thing I don't get about straight women is their attraction to Jack," and I'm just like, "Okay."
He has that chiseled jaw. He has that bad boy aura. You just can't help but resist it.
No, he just looks smug for the most
He
part.
is
That's
bad
all.
boy.
Like the best comparison I have for Jake is like he's like the all-American athlete jock, you know? Like he's like homecoming king, prom king,
That's
like
what makes him so
all
cool.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like considering that I don't. I mean, like for me and for all the like hardcore fans, it's probably less acceptive of that. If mainly because um. Like we have seen Jake play before, where
Yeah.
he certainly like isn't setting the world on fire, and then suddenly like people are like, "Oh, he is this very good flex DPS." And someone like,
There he
"Have
is.
you seen him play before?" You know, so it's kind of like a very big negative reinforcement, so to speak. And also, on some part, on in some level, he is often criticized as being a hypocrite as well as somewhat pretentious. Like we were doing one of the Blizzard video where it was a promo for him, and he
Yeah.
literally said that I meditate every day in my balcony and play chess with myself, and everyone just kind of like rolling their eyes at that.
All right. Well, we
I
should probably get back on track.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will say though, it's gonna be. I wonder if Blizzard will ever do anything about the teabagging. I don't think they will. I don't think it's enough of a problem where they're gonna do something. I, I don't think it is enough of a problem,
I mean,
but we'll
I can
see
see
in
that
coming
it's
stage 2.
I can see that it's like
I think
competitive kind of banter.
Yeah.
I think as long as he doesn't do it too much, I think it should be okay.
Yeah, or like doing it with then maybe making it like a bad tweet about it later or something. Sometime adding fuel to the fire type of thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always say that you were tactically crouching.
Tactically crouching in a certain area repeatedly while having the spray perfectly positioned on the ground to give me the best shot possible. This is
or
good
you
left hands.
yeah. Or you could just press Q to win a 1v1 that you could win without using alt, but yeah.
You gotta jostle around. Jostle around, press Q, and win a 1v1. Perfect.
That was literally the definition of a panic alt. It's like, it's
It was
honest.
so funny. It was so upsetting and so funny at the same time. That was one of the things that cost Houston eventually. But anyways, we'll move on to the biggest game in stage 1 playoffs. Probably the biggest game in the entirety of stage 1, which was New York versus Spitfire. We won
It was so
3-2.
exciting.
It was absolutely insane. I was screaming at
I
the
was so
TV.
tired.
It
I was so
awful.
mentally exhausted that I didn't even react. I was just like, "Oh, cool, they did it," and then I went to
cool.
bed because it was like 12:30.
Listen, I don't want to call you old man, but us
It's
college
past my
youngins
bedtime,
are up
Jordan.
till like 4 or 5 in the morning screaming for Spitfire.
It's kind of weird because I was watching it like from the morning and such, and when I look at the Discord, some people are like, "Oh, London, they're gonna lose after like they
Yeah,
got 2-0," and I'm just like, I wonder what happened. What will happen?
I try to stay off of. It's not like I don't want to be on Discord or like talking to people watching the games. Mostly 'cause I get psyched out because like someone will be like, "Oh, they're gonna lose," or and then I'm like, "Oh man, are they actually gonna lose?" And then if someone's like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna win," and then I get like, "Oh my god," I get my hopes all the way up. So I
It,
usually am like, "Listen, I'm just gonna drink because I'm now 21. I'm gonna go ahead and drink my beer and shout at my TV like every other really good sports fan out there."
it's weird because like considering I know the history of NYXL and W Blue,
Uh,
I had a sinking feeling that something was gonna come up, and immediately when Monte was like, "Oh, LW Blue, they had a history of choking in the playoff." At that point, I'm like, "Yep, time to activate the curse," and they got reversed. Well,
curse. Let's always have curses in Overwatch League. Let's go.
Well, as you friends probably know, Cloud9 is renowned for their reverse sweeps.
Yeah.
So this was merely them channeling their organization's power.
Yep.
But it was certainly a super
Mama
exciting
Jack gives
match.
us the strength.
I
I don't
was
know.
really
Yeah.
Jack gives us the strength.
When I watched that match, it's weird because like you see NYXL doing like kind of the more dumber things. Like you would, it's like their alt management was very crap. Sometimes Libero just is invincible. Sometimes CBOB also invincible. And then people often point out to like say Jaina's not very effective, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. It's like seems like collectively, they seems like say they won the first two match and they kind of like mentally out of it because
Mhm.
they thought the third match was gonna be was
take
gonna be a
long
row
or
or
Eastern.
something. Yeah, and then they
I
got
mean, you
reverse
can't
swept.
even have the excuse for them to say like, "Oh, they were tired," because they got to have more of a break than Spitfire got to have, and
I'm
Spitfire
surprised that
still won.
London wasn't like super exhausted. I would have keeled over at some point
I feel like
because
the
they had to do so
adrenaline rush
much.
was probably what was keeping them like alive, and then probably as soon as the game was over, they all crashed.
Oh yeah, just this
That's
big
why there's a week
adrenaline
off.
crash.
That's why there's a week off, so they can sleep through the entire week until stage 2.
That's what
It's
happens when
like
I
that.
play competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, they at that point when they were, and they seems to be like be able to find another gears, which I thought was great because historically, if you look at like say Comte de Pantera or GC Busan, well, except for GC Busan, I guess KDP tend to lack like the final gear, so to speak. So so sometimes like they can't clutch out or they just kind of like reach their peak, but to be able to like pull to like reach another gears and then pull himself back from a 2-0 deficit like that is like I'm halfway expecting to like none of the players in their team to not even play this week. It's just like, oh fuck it, we won 100K. I'm just gonna blow it on hookers and cocaine. Fuck you, Jack. Fuck you, coach. I'm just doing whatever now. You know.
You know, I feel kind of badly because I zoned out for a whole second, and then I I like phased back into the conversation with like talks of like hookers and cocaine.
I mean I mean they're
I
living.
drop out. I'm tapping out of this one. I don't know what's going on. I'm tapping out of that. Oh my god. Okay. Sorry, I feel so badly. I was just like, cool, okay. Wait, okay, what's going
That's fine.
on?
We know we get back to the topic, but
Yeah,
anyway.
that's fine. Anyways, yeah, no, it was a fantastic game. I'm super proud of London for pulling off that great sweep. Birdring was definitely, I probably say MVP of the game. I don't remember if he was actually voted MVP of the game. I don't
I
He
think
remember.
he
and Prof,
was.
he
He
and
was.
Profit was like the co MVP, I think.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because it totally deserves it. I mean, Profit also, but definitely Birdring absolutely deserves it for that game. It was probably my favorite game of stage 1, if I'm counting playoffs. So
Yeah,
yeah, and now I guess.
I was really impressed on his widow. He really on that last map on Dorado, he was really just holding the line and just constantly just shooting at people. It was super
It was
good.
great. It was a great job. And I guess that's it for stage 1. We've made it. We've stuck by together. We've been through 9 episodes, and now we're done with stage 1. Feels kind of weird, but you know.
Yeah. So stage one is finally come and went. What
Yep.
was what were everyone's feelings on the stage one? There was a lot of interesting stuff that happened. You know, teams that people expected to do well did poorly. Some teams that were expected to do poorly went well.
Oh yeah.
So what
I feel like there's like a lot of important things to take from stage 1, and which is going to really be important for Overwatch. Like, I think the most important is that no team is really extremely higher. Like, I guess their skill level is not extremely higher than any other team. There are certain teams that are worse than other teams, but the gap distance is not that much. There's not a clear winner. Uh, for example, everyone thought that Seoul Dynasty was going to be ahead of the league by far. But then, of course, that got proven wrong very quickly. And then everyone thought that London was going to be really ahead. And while they did win, New York and Outlaws are really close. So I feel like that's something really keep in mind, that things can always change. Everyone is pretty close, which is a good and bad. It's bad because we want to win, but it's good because that means better games.
I mean, the league having like a solid sense of parity
Mhm.
also certainly helps.
Yeah.
There's one guy in my in competitive
Mhm.
Overwatch Discord.
Mhm.
At one point, he was very certain that nobody was going to overtake the Korean, and he
Yep.
psyched Starcraft and such for that. And I was like, I'm not very sure about that. And then he literally just like asking me to prove like his assertions, like try to prove that my assertion is wrong, even though like I was just being very
Yeah.
skeptical about it. And then of course, he then quit the Discord the weeks where Boston Infusion won against their Korean opponent, which I still to this day still warm my heart, if anything. Uh, but yeah, it's like having good party is already a very good job. I mean, like League of Legends, like they hope that they hope that their tournament have this much parity. I mean, like because Jesus fucking Christ, you literally just going to watch Word to see like every other team dumpster on TSM, even though TSM being the best NA team ever. Top four in group, by the way.
Oh, man. I feel like another thing I do want to say, I mentioned this a little bit earlier about stage one. It did go well overall. Everything was pretty understandable until playoffs. I really hope that Blizzard takes the reception to playoffs and tries to explain it a little bit more, especially the point system. Because you actually look at the standings of the end of stage one, we're in third place. We won stage one playoffs, but our standing is third place.
Yeah, that's kind of
Which,
confusing. I thought that if you win the playoffs, shouldn't that
nope,
give you the first place spot?
nope.
But they're doing it by map score, which
Yeah.
is kind of weird.
That's why I said like it's very weird. Yeah, like, if you look at the standings, we're in third place. First place is New York still. Second place is Houston, and then we're in third place. Which is what makes it weird. That's what the thing about playoffs, which makes me super not uncomfortable, that's not the right word, but it's very odd. I don't know why there's stage playoffs if the standings are still going to be different. Like, for example, if Houston won and then they got first place because they won the stage one playoffs, that would make more sense. If London is not Houston, London, if London is going to stay third place, even though we won the stage one playoffs, then what's the entire point of having the playoffs? I mean, besides having the grand prize money of like $100,000 for your team, which I guess that is the only point of it, if that's the only point of it, then I wish Blizzard was like, yeah, that's it. That's literally, this is only bonus money for them. That's all it's for. You know
I
what I'm trying
think
to say?
yeah, I think that the format can certainly have a tweak in there. Like I understand their point up having like kind of like peak like that because in esport you usually don't have such a long league like this.
Yeah.
Like I mean, for example, I mean like sure in any LCS you have spring split and then you have everything, but it
Yeah.
doesn't stretch out to be like some 6 months, 40 games kind of thing like out right now. So they certainly needs like peak and trough in order to get the fan base interesting. But I'm not very sure if like they could go a better way at it. I mean, like they could certainly like make playoff more. They could make playoff more.
Like, it kind of matters.
Yeah, yeah, they could certainly make playoff matters. I mean, like having cash is fine and all, but if but as and obviously bagging right is also works, but you know at the end it doesn't really contribute much to your overall standing. So
Yeah, that's the thing that just kind of bothers me overall with it. Just because, I mean, because that kind of does take away the whole point of stage playoffs if it doesn't really matter overall.
I
And
think they're
they never even explained that very well. So I
I
wish they
think
were a bit more transparent in kind of how the league worked when it comes to all that.
I think that what they're maybe trying to do is just um, keep the energy going for Overwatch League, considering it's
Yeah.
gonna take a while. They need these moments of like big excitement, to just keep people's interest alive. So it kind of makes sense, but I think at the same time, I think people lose interest if it's not worth anything, and it's just like, yeah, you get some money. have fun, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people right now don't realize it's not worth anything. So I feel like once they realize that, probably by the end of stage 2, stage 3, when they notice it, is when it's going to become a problem. So hopefully Blizzard kind of sees that and kind of does something with it or mixes it around, something like that.
I
I
think
think,
I
and
think
of course the other
another
big.
I think another point that I kind of didn't like about the stage was just the meta.
Mhm.
It made it so boring.
Yeah, that's what I was about to talk about next. The meta is going to be extremely different come next stage. Of course, we'll talk more about how that's going to affect us more towards next stage. But the Mercy meta has been kind of a plague on most of the teams. There hasn't been anything really exciting, at least for healer wise. There hasn't been really many exciting plays in that support area. And then, of course, with Junkrat, everyone has to have a Junkrat in order to do something. So.
I think mostly it just came from, a lot of strategy. Like, okay, we'll do a pick here to really open things up so we can move on the point. But then you just have Mercy go, heroes never die, and then like the
And then,
two
yeah,
people that
it
you
makes no fight.
kill come back instantly, and you're just like, how do you plan to like get anything done when you have such
You kind of
a
can't.
strong mechanic?
Yeah, the meta seemed everyone's just tired of playing against Mercy, obviously. So it's gonna be great moving into the next meta. But I'm not very sure if the next meta is gonna be the one that people like because from me watching tier 2 scrim and such, it seems like we're just going to back and dive again. Which is okay for my book, I guess, but not many people will like it very much. Um, and also for the fact that like even if like I guess with the new map poll like there suddenly can affect the meta as much as just the nerf and the buff, but we'll see this.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of excited to see like what the new meta is gonna bring, and again, we'll talk more about that next week on like what we actually expect is going to happen, uh, with London with the new meta. But I'm not gonna miss the old meta. I'm not gonna miss Mercy. I'm not gonna miss her.
Yeah, I think it just really crippled a lot of the team's strategies from the support role because it's like, well, we
Yeah,
have to have a
it just
Mercy
really
player.
made them rely on her.
I mean, look at just London Spitfire. Like we put Nuss on Mercy, and I think
And
even
Nuss,
Nuss has said he's not that good at Mercy. But like you have to have a Mercy player, so he's like, okay, I can try and play Mercy and help shot call and stuff, but it's not going to be great. So it's just like, no problem. Just try your best. We'll try to keep you alive long enough to do what you need to do, and that's hit that ult button when you get it charged.
yep, that's it.
It's yeah, with Mercy is kind of weird because you would often see Mercy players like, see, even pros die all the time at Mercy too. Mercy isn't so hard to play now, is it? And I'm just like, I'm not sure about that because if you really think about it, like most support players, like they are used to playing a certain style, which is Lucio, where you can sort of like being really proactive on how you play. You have Wara, you can boop, etc., 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 etc. But with Mercy is like, okay, what exactly can you do? Oh, you press shift to fly to your teammates, and then you hold left click to heal. It's not very active, and also you are totally dependent on your teammate to actually keep you alive. Which unlike say Lucio, where you can at least speed yourself out of danger at this point, it's very much gonna be a case of okay, I'm just gonna have to hold left ship until I die, I guess. Which yeah, doesn't really make for good playing and good spectating.
Yeah, no, not at all. Uh, I am very excited to see what happens though. I'm just excited. So that's
Yeah,
like kind
but
of
on the whole, if you had to give like a rating for stage 1, how would you
a
guys
rating.
give it? Like out of like 5 stars.
I'm gonna go with an optimistic. I'm gonna say an optimistic 3.5. I don't want to
That's
give
what I
it
was
like
gonna
my
do.
whole 4 or 5 because we're only in stage 1, and I feel like especially when we get into stage 4 right before the end of the season, it's going to be extremely ramped up. Everything will be. So I'm gonna say like a decent middle.
Yeah,
I would actually say four, if only because I was actually kind of overperforming at this point. Like if you remember, at one point Jack was like, "Oh, if we got 50 or 70K, like I would be very ecstatic." And we are like at 90 to 100K, and if there's a marquee matchup, it's shoot up to like 160.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, based
So
on viewership alone, it's going fantastic. Overwatch League is definitely has some room to grow, and it's gonna be. I see it definitely going in a positive direction. I mean, just this stage alone, we got sponsorships now from T-Mobile, Toyota, Sour Patch Kids. They all came in just this stage, so there might be more sponsors coming up. I think Blizzard's confirmed that there's going to be 3 new. I think 3 new teams that are be coming in for season 2.
the number is not very clear at the moment, but there will
The number
definitely be
isn't okay.
expand. Yeah,
They're definitely
it's definitely
expanding,
gonna be more expansion team,
so
even though
that's
it's
also great news.
yeah, it's well, rip all those investors that are coming in late though, because now they have to pay instead of paying 20 mils, they're gonna have to pay 35 to 60, which
Oh,
even
are they actually increasing the price? I didn't actually know that. Yeah,
yeah.
that does kind of suck. I mean, it kind of makes sense because now they're like, oh yeah, now we know we're worth money. So yeah, you should have been paid up front. The early bird special is gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much. I still 20 million, 20 million bucks obviously isn't jump change, and I do understand that I was trying to reach like uh people with actual money instead of just like endemic orc, which is fine, I guess. But there's still a sense that they might be flying a little bit too close to the sun. But then again, I was like massively overperforming. um, overperforming over its conservative estimate, so it's fine, I guess. It's very fine.
I think okay. I mean, I still I don't know. I feel like 3.5 stars is almost a little too low, but I don't want to give it 4. 3.75 maybe. I don't know. I'm holding off just because like I want to see what stage the next stage is gonna bring. I feel like each stage is gonna bring it up to a higher level.
Yeah, as the
And it's
league
like
play,
that's like
yeah.
normal progression now. So
Yeah, as the league and a player grew together, and also for the fact that like some team are gonna get like extra signing and whatever, like that will certainly make the league interesting and vary from period to period. I'll be especially gonna be interested in week four, because that's literally like the last week. Well, last stage, I guess. Last stage up. The regular season until the playoff hit,
hmm
and that's gonna be where where it's gonna be really crunch time for both the teams and the viewership.
yeah. What about you, Havoc? You didn't give us your answer yet.
I was trying to, but
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
I'd probably give it a 3.5. There were some pretty fun moments, but I think the meta, as well as uh, I think maybe how they were trying to like figure out how to do things initially, kind of put a kink into it. I know a lot of people were complaining about like how the observers were doing things and how the camera work could be better, or how they structured how the map order went, or having like the stage playoffs, which may or may not be completely worthless on the same night as uh you're the team that's playing in it just played that day. So I think
Yeah,
that logistically
yeah, I
they're
mean it's unlucky on Blizzard part. Like if you remember back in World Cup, like they also lost having like four quarter final in the same day, and they end up having to play one or two other games in the next tomorrow. Tomorrow, because all of the games went to the distance, which kind of mess up the whole part, because instead of like the game being just it's just gonna be 2 hours and shit, it's like 3 hours of back and forth action. So it's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, I mean, the league is always gonna grow, and there's obviously gonna have a lot of stuff they need to take care of before they can actually mature. But for the most part, like they, outnick as much momentum as they needed at the moment, and so far it's going quite well.
Yeah. I do think though this was a pretty cool thing to experience. I'm excited to see what kind of happens Overwatch League as it goes further through the stages.
Yeah, and hopefully we will have many more stages to come. But I think that's going to do it for us today. We've been rambling a lot. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all just a little bit happy because, we won Stage 1 playoffs, and it's kind of, this is the calm before the storm of Stage 2, but, yeah, good stuff.
yeah, well, please put your tray tables up and return your seats to their full upright position because we are coming in for a landing. So, thank you for listening to our podcast, and we hope to see you all in the skies real soon.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Goodbye.